Be'ezer Hashem, we're going to learn Likutei Sichos, Chelek Yudches, Shelach. So this week's parsha, the story of the Meraglim, the story of the spies, that Moshe Rabbeinu sent the spies, that it was a request of Klal Yisrael, like it says in Dvarim, that the people of Israel came to Moshe Rabbeinu and said, please, we want to send spies. And Hashem agreed. Hashem says, I'm not telling you, I'm not commanding you, it's not a command. But if you want to do this, you can do it. To see, Lasser Sa'ar is really to see the land of Israel, not to go as spies, which is Meraglim, which is the idea of going with their feet, regel. Meraglim comes from the word regel, feet. But Lasser Sa'ar is really to see with their eyes. Lasser is L'sasuru, means to visualize, to see the land of Israel. And they come back and they report a negative report. And Hashem becomes very angry, however we understand this. And Moshe Rabbeinu pleads for the people of Israel, pleads for Klal Yisrael. And in the pasuk, one of the things that Moshe Rabbeinu says is Va'ata yigdal na koyach adnai. Please Hashem, but now augment the koyach, the power of the name of Aleph Daled Nun Yud Adnai, which is the name of Hashem, the way it's pronounced. So the name Yud Kei Vav Kei is the name of Hashem, which corresponds to the Sphira, just very quickly corresponds to the Sphira of Tiferes, which is the main body of the spheres, of the emotional spheres. And then there's Adnai, Aleph Daled Nun Yud, represents Malchus, the revealing of Hashem's presence within this world. And Moshe Rabbeinu pleads and asks that Hashem please reveal the Koyach Adnai, reveal this power of Adnai, and augment it, make it even greater. So this is the Sicha is going to be talking about the Zohar on these words and the notes that Reb Leivik, the Rebbe's father, wrote on this Zohar. So basically, before we get into this, the idea is that Yigno Koyach Adnai means to reveal Hashem's presence in this world, even greater, which is generally the idea of what occurs because of the story of the spies. When the pasuk says, Hashem squares, God squares, so to speak, and says that my presence, my revealing of Hashem, the honor of the glory of Hashem we reveal throughout the entire land. So what this means is like the Medrash Likutei writes on this parsha, or this pasuk, it means that Klal Yisrael will be dispersed throughout the entire world. Lahabris Lam Gerim is in the language of the Gemara Pesachim, to reveal Hashem's presence, and the through Klal Yisrael being throughout the entire world, dispersed through the entire world, this will be the revealing, allowing for the revealing of Hashem's presence. A new type of revelation will be revealed to the world. It's understood also when the book of Yecheskel, when the prophet says, and Yecheskel says, that I swore, Hashem says that I swore to disperse them throughout the entire land. This is what it's talking about, this idea of Klal Yisrael being throughout the world, dispersed throughout the four corners of the world, which was caused by the story of the spies. And through that, there's a revealing of Hashem. So the Sicha over here is going to be speaking about what is the specialty or the unique quality of this revealing of Hashem's presence, of the divine presence within this world through Klal Yisrael. So the Zohar on this pasuk, which is Va'ata Yigdal Na Koyach Adnai, please Hashem, augment, make great the name Adnai, Aleph Daled Nun Yud, says the Zohar. Reb Acha and Reb Yossi Amri, Reb Acha and Reb Yossi, these two sages of the Talmud, which are going to correspond to Zohar and Malchus. They say Zakoyin ini Yisrael ma'amen open to Alma, that Zakoyin is the refinement of Klal Yisrael, is such that it's revealed itself in three ways. The Kutchabrichu itarim bahem, that Kadosh Baruch Hu, the transcendent one has desire in them, Yiskani Bohum, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls himself in their name, V'yispoi Bohum, and Hashem takes great pride in Klal Yisrael. So this is what the three things that are explained. So this is what the Zohar says. So upon this, on the Aras, on the notes on the Zohar, Rabbi Leivik writes like this: that why these three things, that he takes pride in them and he desires them, he calls himself in their name. Why doesn't it say, for example, that you're the sons of, you're called the children of Hashem? Why specifically these three things? So Rabbi Leivik writes that this is connected with later on what the Zohar is going to talk about, that Klal Yisrael represents the Leiv Shalom. Klal Yisrael represents the heart of the world, which is a theme that the Zohar speaks about and also mentioned in some of the Rishonim, specifically in Sefer HaKuzri, which is a great image of this idea of Klal Yisrael being the heart, the midpoint, the Nakuda, the midpoint within creation, within the consciousness of creation. Just like there's a midpoint, the Tabar Oretz is a midpoint within creation, within the physical space, which Olam Nivra Ben Tzoyis, like the Gemara says, there's an argument the world is created from its edges or its middle point. The same thing goes with Zman, within time, whether the world is created in Nissan, which is in the middle, or B'Tishrei in the beginning. I'm sorry, Nissan is the beginning, B'Tishrei is in the middle. There's an idea of that there's the Leiv of the world, the heart of the world. So the Leivik says that this is the reason why the Zohar talks about these three things of desiring and calling himself by and taking pleasure in and bragging, so to speak, taking pleasure in them, is because they correspond to the three middos of the heart, which is Chesed, Gevura, and Tiferes. Chesed, Gevura, and Tiferes, these are the three primary middos. Chesed, Gevura, and Tiferes are the primary middos, which means Chesed means I'm moving outward and extending. Gevura means I'm restricting. And that's really the only two movements that's possible, or the moving out or moving in, extroverting or introverting. And then there's a balance between them, which is the midah attribute of Tiferes. And then Netzach Yesod is the externalization of that emotion. But in the midas itself, in the attributes himself, there's only Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes. These are the real only three attributes: moving right column, left column, center column. So because Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes are these three midos, these three attributes, therefore the Zohar mentions these three ideas. That the idea of desiring them, Klal Yisrael refers to the attribute of Chesed, of giving towards them. The reflection of them in terms of that he's called by their name, Kinoi, is also the numeric value of the word Kinoi is Elokim, is 86, which refers to the concept of Gvura. Like a nickname is sort of like the backside of a person, his restriction or his concealment. But it's a revealing of the person. If you know who the nickname refers to, you know who the person is. But if you don't, you don't. Which means that it's a type of revealing, but in the form of a concealment, which is a kinoi. And then the third thing is spoir bahem, which is that he takes pleasure in them. That he brags about them, and he's spoir in them. This is the idea of tiferes. So this is the idea of the middle column. So Leivik is saying that the Zohar refers to these three qualities because they refer to the qualities of the heart. And since the Zohar wants to speak about Klal Yisrael as being the heart of the world, and the heart of consciousness of the world, so therefore it refers to these particular things. Therefore, it does not bring, for example, the idea of Bonim Atam Hashem Lakechem, that Klal Yisrael are called the children of Hashem, because children is connected to Machshavta Yisrael Kadam L'Cholam. The machshava, the thought of creating of Israel precedes the creation. Thought in general, children are connected to a person's thought. Like Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, that the child is the root of the semen is taken from the moyach ha'av, from the mind of the father. So which means that the idea of being children of Hashem represents of being a transcendence of creation, transcendent of creation. If creation is created through speech, and Klal Yisrael are rooted in Machshavtim Shel Yisrael, in the thought process of the Creator, that the thought precedes speech, so it means that it's transcendent of speech. And the idea of the lev, of being the heart, is specifically means that it's within creation, that the beauty and the special quality of Klal Yisrael is that they're specifically the heart of the world, which the heart represents the center point, not the idea of transcendence of creation, but specifically within creation, sort of like the heart within the image of the body, is that the mind or the brain would be somewhat detached from the body. Of course, it's part of the body, but it stands on the top of the body, in the head. So that represents something that's transcendent of. Wherein the heart represents the midpoint of the body, which represents the idea that it is completely vested within the body. And that would be the image of Klal Yisrael being completely invested within creation, not transcendent of creation. And that is the specialty, invested within creation and being within the world. There is those three emotions, so to speak, which is revealed that Hashem desires, Kadosh Baruch Hu desires, and is called by and brags of Klal Yisrael. So this is what Reb Leivik writes. So the Sikha continues and says that we have to understand this very simply. It's a very simple question of what does it have to do with the pasuk? What does it actually have to do with the verse? The verse is Moshe pleading to Hashem and saying, now Hashem, please augment, make great the name of Adonai, the name of Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. And upon this, the Zohar brings down this teaching. But what is the connection between this teaching and the idea of special quality of Klal Yisrael with the verse that says, make great the name of Adonai? Also, the question is, in the language of the Zohar, it says, the language of the Zohar is that Klal Yisrael has a special quality. It seems like that's saying it's a chiddush, that's a novelty, that the greatness and the beauty and the specialty of Klal Yisrael is in these things. But what is the chiddush? What is even the question? Why does it have to be addressed? So this is the question. So now the question is like this. Now the thing is like this. The question is like this. In the pasuk, when it says "Atama Yilu Korachadne," and now you should make great the name of Korachadne. What is Moshe Rabbeinu really asking? Moshe Rabbeinu is asking, at this point, he's asking forgiveness for Klal Yisrael. Even though they messed up the story of the spies, Hashem should give them slicha, should forgive them forgiveness. Like it says in the Medrash, Tinatzich midas haracham midas adin, that the midas haracham, the attribute of compassion, of divine compassion, should overwhelm the attribute of judgment. So even though according to the world of strict judgments, they deserve a certain type of consequence of their action, which is called punishment, Moshe Rabbeinu is asking that from a place of transcendent of that, from a place of mechila, from slicha, from a place of rachamim, a place of compassion, they should be forgiven. So the question is, if Moshe Rabbeinu wished to draw down the world of rachamim, the world of compassion, which we said before is Tiferes, so then, which is connected to the name of Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the transcendent name, so then Moshe shouldn't have said, Yigun Koach Adonai, make the name Adonai to be great. Moshe should have said that there should be Yigun Koach, the Hashem should be great, the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, that Yud-Kei Vav-Kei name, the transcendent name. If Moshe is trying to elicit and draw down rachamim, compassion, so then he should speak to the name of compassion, the divine name of compassion, which is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the name of Hashem. So why does he say that the name of Adonai, which represents din? Adonai is Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, which is Aleph, really, it's spelled in these four letters, is Aleph Din, the name of din. Why is he talking that the name of din should be greater, when in fact what he's trying to do is to receive slicha, compassion, and forgiveness for the people, to draw down the attribute of rachamim, so then address the midah of rachamim and say that Hashem Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, should be drawn down to the world. So what is this idea? And why? The second question that the Rebbe asks is that Yidno Koyach Adonai is a question, is that Hashem should augment this power of Adonai, is something that Moshe Rabbeinu speaks of and asks of, specifically with the story of the spies. But when Moshe Rabbeinu is asking forgiveness for the story of the Chet HaEgel, for example, for the story of the sin of the golden calf, he doesn't offer that. He doesn't speak of that, of this prayer. Why doesn't he do that? So in order to understand this, in other words, what is specifically this passage of Yigdal Malkoyach Adonai? There's a story of the spies. The spies mess up. Because the spies mess up and the people believe them, they don't believe in themselves, they can possibly enter into the land of Israel. There's a certain divine wrath or punishment that's about to be mediated. And Moshe Rabbeinu asked for forgiveness, but asking for forgiveness, he said, Yidon L'koyach Adonai, may the name of Adonai become great. So what does it have to, what's the connection between Yidon L'koyach Adonai, may the name of Adonai become great, to the idea of drawing down compassion? So the Sichos continues like this. On the pasuk, on the verse, it says Chazuku b'menu, that it's that the land is a strong land. That it's a fortified land. It's a land of giants, etc. So Chazal, the Gemara says, the Soita says like this: Kav yachal afilu bala bayis eini yachal lohitzis kelim lisham. What they were referring to is like a euphemism. They were speaking code and saying that Chazuku b'menu, that was great, it's stronger than him. Him actually refers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Creator. And they were saying that even the balabas, even the owner of the home, which means the Creator himself, cannot take out his vessels, which means that he has no control on that in that realm. So what are the Meraglim, what are the spies, what do they really argue? What they're saying is like this, that there's the natural world and there's the miraculous world. Now, they know that they're living in the desert. As they're living in the desert, they're living a miraculous existence. They're living on the manna from heaven. They're being protected by the clouds of glory. And they're living a very non-civilized, in other words, not invested within the material world, very like in the place of the midbar, a place of the wilderness. They're living a very wild, spiritual, transcendental lifestyle. And therefore, they're connected to the world of miracle. And they understand that, and they know it to be true, and they know that that's possible. That in the world of the midbar, in the world of the desert, in that transcendent place, they can experience miraculous existence. But now they're told that they have to enter the next stage of their development. And their maturity is they're entering into the land of Israel. The land of Israel is actually a physical space. And like the Torah actually says itself, that when you're going to enter into the land, it's when you enter the land, you're going to toil the land for 6 years, and then you're going to rest on the 7th year, which means that it's a land that we have to get involved in the material, physical realm and work the land in order to receive sustenance. It's not going to be a miraculous existence. In other words, so they're saying that there's the world of the miraculous, which is the world of separated from the civilized world, so to speak, the world that exists within the desert, which is the miraculous realm. But then, according to the Torah, they have to enter into the world of nature, the world of Teva. And in the world of Teva, in the world of nature, they look at the natural, at the physical realm of existence in the physical land of Israel, and they see that it's a very powerful people living in a very fortified existence. And they're saying that in the world of nature, it's impossible to enter into this land. And this is what they say, that even the owner of the home cannot take out his vessels. Of course, they understood that there's a possibility of miracles and the shattering of nature, because that's exactly how they were living since the time of the Exodus in Egypt. And they understood that nature is a divine expression, and this is the concealment of the divine, so to speak. The name of Elohim, of concealment, is vested within Hateva, within nature, and they understood that was the nature of the way creation was created. What they're saying is that K-Love, it's really the owner's vessels, which means it's an acknowledgement that the world is created by the creator. What they're saying is that the creator himself created the physical world, the material world, the natural world in a way that it's supposed to exist, and therefore there cannot be a violation of that nature. That the nature itself, the way it was set up in a way that it should be natural. So if we're entering into the natural world, then the world of nature should dictate. And if the world of nature should dictate, then there's an impossibility for miracles. This is what they're saying. This is the depth of what the argument of the Meraglim, of the spies, are saying. They're not arguing and saying there's no possibility of miracles, because they're experiencing miracles in the desert. They're saying, but if we enter into the world of the natural world, the world of Eretz Yisrael, the world of the land of Israel, which is a natural world where you're supposed to work the land and toil the land, then that's what Hashem wants. That's what the Creator wants, that we should work in the natural world. If He wants to work in the natural world, then the natural world has its rules and its principles and its definitions, and therefore it's impossible to violate them. And even that was the way the Creator set up creation, that in the natural world functions in a natural way. So it's impossible. We can't enter this land. This is similar to, much later on, there's a very strong philosophical argument amongst even the Rishonim. The Rambam brings it down, the Rabbah brings it down, about how do miracles work in the natural world. Hashem created the world in a natural existence. How does miracles occur? So either these are like quirks, or like things within the system itself, that the system itself allows for the abolishment of the system for a period of time. Like that originally there was like a certain conditioning within the creation that it should function in a natural way, besides in these times. But so then the miracles are really part of nature. The Maral talks at great length in Akdama about this. But this is the argument, essentially, what the Meraglim, the spies, are arguing. They're arguing that there are two separate realms. There's the miraculous world and there's the natural world. So in the miraculous world, miracles occur, but in the natural world, Hashem created the natural world in a way that nature should function. So if we're entering into the natural world, it just has to function that way. But the truth is, this is what their mistake. They're saying that even the Creator, the one that set up the natural world, cannot defy and violate the natural world. But that's not true. That's not true, because yes, there is a miraculous world. Yes, there's a natural world, and they function with their own principles and their own organizing systems. But since they're both a manifestation of the ultimate transcendent one that transcends miraculous in nature, therefore there can be a revealing of the miraculous within the natural world simultaneously, that the natural world still exists and that it's not violated. That the Hanagas HaTeva, even though the principles of working of nature, in other words, let's say it a little differently, that there's one way to think about it, is that there's the miraculous and then there's the natural world. And sometimes when the miraculous and the natural world interact, there's a violation. It disturbs, it breaks apart the natural world, because there's this form of revelation, which is transcendence and miraculous, or there's this form of the system, which is natural. And when the miraculous becomes revealed in the natural world, the nature breaks. So because they're two separate systems. And what the Meraglim are saying is that we entered in the world of the desert was the miraculous, and the world of entering into Israel was the land of the natural world. But on the deepest level, that's not really true, because these are both manifestations of the Creator Himself, of the essence of the Creator Himself. So there's a possibility, even though it sounds paradoxical, there's a possibility for the revealing of infinity, of the miraculous within the finitude, within the natural world, when simultaneously the natural world still exists, still labors under the world of nature, and yet it in itself is revealing something that's miraculous. And this is also what the quality of Klal Yisrael was saying, that the chelik alka mimal mamash, that a chelik alka, that the Alter Rebbe adds mamash, that a chelik alka, a part of the divine is Nishmas Soul and Mashma Soul. Other later Acharonim write about this. That really the phrase Chelik Elokah, part of the divine, is a paradox. Not a paradox. It's actually an impossible statement. If you say the divine is one, of course, that the idea of the infinite of Hashem's presence, Hashem is Echad, is one. So how can you say Chelik? How can you say a part? You can't say a part of a whole. Either it's a whole, or it's part of something that's not whole. But if you say that it's part of a part of infinity, it's sort of an oxymoron, because if it's a part, then it sounds like it's finite. If it's part of infinity, then it's infinite. And the truth is that is actually what Klal Yisrael represents, is this paradoxical violation of normative consciousness, of normative understanding, which is that it is a chelik elokah, and it's mamash, and it's literal. It's not just metaphorical. That there's finite and infinity combined as one. That infinity is expressed within finitude, while finitude still remains finitude, yet it expresses infinity. That's a chelik elokah. So nature is nature, and yet within nature there's the element of the miraculous. And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu is asking. When Moshe Rabbeinu says that Hashem, you should augment and make great the name of Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, which refers to the aspect of the creation, which is Malchus, the creation of the physical realm, of the world of nature. The Moshe Rabbeinu is saying is that the name itself of Adonai should be expanded to reveal the infinite potential, the miraculous. So Moshe is saying that it should be from this Galavern, the Koich von Adonai, that the Koich of Adonai, the Koich itself of Adonai, the power of Adonai, which is the world of nature, should be revealed within the world of nature, within the world of Adonai. It should reveal the element of the miraculous, because again, this is what the Meraglim are arguing. The Meraglim are arguing and saying that there's two separate prisms. There's a system of miracles and a system of nature, if we use the two names of Hashem, there's the name of Yudke Vavke, which is transcending, and there's the name of Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud, Adonai, which is immanent. And one is the world of the miraculous, Yudke Vavke, and one is the world of nature. And Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, it should be revealed, it should be manifest, the greatness of Koach Adonai, the infinity within Koach Adonai. So this is really what Moshe is really asking for, and this is really what's revealed in the creation. That what is the mile of Klal Yisrael, which we say that the beauty of Klal Yisrael is that they're the lev, that they're the heart. And what does the heart represent? The heart represents the center point within creation. Creation represents the world of nature. That what is revealed in the presence of Klal Yisrael as within creation, the Chelek Elokah Mimal, the revealing of the presence of Hashem, of infinity that's expressed within nature, that within the world of nature, in the world of nature itself, not something that's so. If we say that Klal Yisrael represents the transcendence of creation, the moyach, the bonim, the child, that's rooted in the mind of the Creator, then it's transcendent. It represents the world of the miraculous. So that would be one thing. That would be the revealing of the miraculous, but that would be in violation and in contrast to the world of the natural. What the Zohar is saying is that Klal Yisrael is revealing the presence of infinity, of the miraculous within the natural world, and they're not a contradiction. So they're the lev, they're the heart of creation. And this is what the Zohar says, is a kohen in Yisrael, that in the world of nature, in the world where there are many nations, Klal Yisrael reveals this aspect. And that's the greatness of Klal Yisrael. That's the beauty of Klal Yisrael. And in the Ara, there advertises to the two sages that say this statement. Rabbi Yossi, which is one of the sages, Acha represents Tiferes, which is transcendence, and Rabbi Yossi, whose numeric value is 86, represents the world of nature, Hateva. So we're seeing the unity between the transcendence and the immanence, between the miraculous and the presence of Hashem within the immediate. And this is what is explained in these three aspects of what the Zohar is saying. That it's revealed the presence of Hashem in the desire of HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Klal Yisrael. That they're revealing the presence of Hashem in the highest way. And revealing this also in a place where there is a kinoi, where there's a exchange of a name. And to do that, it's also within the presence of the Yisrael. And all these three are revealing the Chativa Achas Ba'olam. So to recap the Sikha continues a little bit to explain these three things in a little more detail. But the Nekuda, the point of what the Sikha is trying to say is as follows: that when Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Va'ata yignal koyach Adnai," that Hashem, the koyach Adnai, the koyach of Aleph Dal Nun, Aleph Dal Nun Yud, should be augmented, should be made great. Which upon this, the Zohar says that this refers to Klal Yisrael, the beauty, the specialty of Klal Yisrael, that at the heart of creation. And like Reb Leivik is saying that this refers to the midos, which represents the idea of the lev, that Klal Yisrael is the lev, is the heart of the world. That the connection between the verse that actually Moshe Rabbeinu is asking, where the Zohar is explaining the quality of Klal Yisrael, and the idea that Moshe is asking for forgiveness is all tied together because there are two ways how to look at this world. There's the natural world, and then there's the transcendent world. There's the miraculous world, and there's the world of nature. And normally, the way we see these two things, that they're separate from each other. And this is really what the mistake of the spies was, that they saw them in two separate realities. Because when they saw them in two separate realities, they said that miracles would work in the desert, but when we go into the land of Israel, which Hashem himself chose to create a world of a natural world, and Sheisham, in 6 years, you should toil the land, and you should rest on the seventh year, which means that it's the world of the natural world. There's no possibility for miracles. What was Moshe saying? After Yigno Koyach Adnai, Moshe was saying is that Adnai, which is connected to the world of nature, the highest level is not to reveal the Yudke Vavke, the transcendence, which will violate and destroy the lower realm of the natural world. But the highest revelation is that in the world of Adnai, in the world of the natural world, in the world we call the finite world, in that world there should be a Yigdal, not Koyach. Koyach refers to the 28 letters, and Kaddish is Kaddish Meirah, the name of Hashem should be great. The greatness of Hashem's presence should be revealed within the name of Adnai, which is to show that even within the world of nature, there's a possibility for the revealing of even a higher dimension, which is transcendent of nature and the miraculous, which combines the miraculous and nature. And that is reflected in the Chelek Elokah. That's actually reflected in the quality of Klal Yisrael. That there's a quality of Klal Yisrael that stands transcendent of creation, purely in the miraculous realm. But the highest level of Klal Yisrael is specifically vested within creation and created in a way as the lev of the world, as the heart of the world, to reveal Hashem's presence, of the revealing of the divine presence that is transcendence, that is within the immediacy, that which is the miraculous within the world of nature, that even the nature is miraculous, and even the miraculous is expressive of nature. And that's the heart of the world. The heart of the world is this revealing of Klal Yisrael into this world. Shabbos.